Hello to you all and welcome to IMPROVATE's first international conference. IMPROVATE is a platform for connecting governments and innovation companies. IMPROVATE's mission is to connect change makers in technology with leaders in governing positions. IMPROVATE is dedicated to find solutions and sparking collaborations that will improve the quality of life for the many. Here with us, IMPROVATE's founder and chairman, Irina Nevzlin. Our special guest today, the Right Honourable Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the founder and chairman of the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. Also with us today are honourable ministers from Israel and Africa, Mr. Yizhar Shai, Minister of Science and Technology from Israel, Mr. Joseph Antoine Kasonga Mukata, Minister of Agriculture, Democratic Republic of Congo. Also with us, Omari Tewebe Gumba, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Tanzania, Minister Ato Sani Reddy, Minister of Natural Resources Management and Food Security in Ethiopia, Professor Edie Boga, Secretary of the State Department for Crop Development and Agriculture Research, Kenya, Minister Jubalani Mabuza, Minister of Agriculture, Eswatini, Mr. Jonathan Bialosuka Wata, the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock in Congo, Mr. Masima, he is the Ambassador of Tanzania in Israel, and Mrs. Coringanor, Head of Structures and Export Finance at Bank Discount. We will hear today from Israel leading agrotech and innovation companies. They will present solutions here in the studio in the field of food security. Food security has become a burning issue, especially today because of the pandemic. That is why we choose to deal with this issue today. So here at the studio or via Zoom, Netafim, NextFirm, LR Group, ICL, Alphabet Planners, AgroScout, BioFishency, Milky, Bermad, and finance company that can help those wonderful tech companies to do business in Africa. Discount Bank, Ashra, East Africa International Finance Corporation, and African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank. Also watching us, representative of investment fund from around the world that are looking for investment in Israel innovation companies. This conference will be the first in a series of international conference held by IMPROVATE to connect between governments and innovation companies. So, let's start. I would like to introduce Irina Nevzlin, the founder and the chair of IMPROVATE. Irina is Israeli entrepreneur. She grew up and started her career in Moscow, continued in London, and now lives in Israel. She's the author of the book, The Impact of Identity, The Power of Knowing Who You Are. Over the last decade, she's a chair of the board in the Museum of the Jewish People. She conducted a $100 million transformation. It is now the biggest Jewish museum in the world, telling the story of unity and success. So, Mrs. Nevzlin, what is the vision behind IMPROVATE?
First, Danny, thank you very much for the question. And I have to tell something. I'm very excited. I'm grateful to everybody who is watching us and who is with us in the studio. It's our first inaugural conference, and we did it at the time when it's hard to imagine it's possible. And it's possible because there is some nice woman looking to me from control room, Ronit Hassin-Hochman, who is my partner and the CEO of the company who made it happen. Now, back to your question. You see, I think we all know that there is a crisis in leadership around the world. We see it everywhere, not just in crisis. It started before. Another problem is that for leaders to lead now, it became much more complicated because the world became so much more complicated. And so in order to lead in times like that, you really need to be able to do the teamwork and to bring different brains together. And what I see is that over the last decade, 2 decades, we really have 2 leadership groups. One is elected politicians, and the other one is tech companies, which are growing in their impact on life of everybody. Now, those two groups are ought to talk together to build a shared language, and this is where we come into place. We want to make sure that these groups come and work to make life better for all of us and for many.
So, Mrs. Nevslin, how can IMPROVATE help the world in those problematic days?
I'm glad you asked. Look, I think a lot of people who are here with us today get invitations to a lot of different gatherings. Now it's mostly online, but it used to be physical, where you have these discussions, which are basically two topics. One topic is issues and hand problems that we have, and the second one is who are we going to blame today for those problems? Now, while I think it's very important to know what problems we have and how we got to that, I also feel that there's a big group of people around the world who want to have another discussion. And the discussion is, okay, we have a problem. There's a theoretical reason why we got to where we got. But what we want to do is come together and find the solutions that will actually make our life better and everybody's lives better. So this is, I think, what IMPROVATE ought to do, especially in the time of crisis.
So that's what we're going to do in the next hours. Thank you, Mrs. Nevslin, for staying with us. And now to London. Hello, Mr. Tony Blair. It is a great honor to have you with us today. Today's meeting focuses on the subject that I know, very close to your heart, food security. Being active in Africa, how do you see the food security challenge in the continent, especially when the COVID pandemic makes a big problem in access to food?
Yeah, first of all, a big congratulations to everyone at IMPROVATE, to Irina and her team for making this get together happening. It's actually a huge tribute to their skill and ingenuity that they've managed to get so many people together on what I think is going to be a really important method of connecting people for the betterment of people in Africa. So food security is, of course, a huge challenge. And it was a challenge before COVID. COVID has deepened that challenge. But there's one other thing that the COVID-19 crisis has done, and that is that any problem that was there before COVID is there now, but accelerated. And the same is true also of the thinking behind the solutions to these problems. So in all the conversations, my institute works in around 15 different African countries with teams of people, and we're about to go into several more, including some of the countries represented on this call. What we find is there's now an enormous interest in the whole question of technology and what it can do to accelerate Africa's development and accelerate the solutions to these long-standing problems. Now, on food security, it's very, very clear. There are still large numbers of people in Africa that go hungry. Africa, just to give you some data points, it imports around $80 billion worth of agricultural produce. It exports 40 billion. So it has a deficit when it should have a huge surplus. The tariffs between African countries on the export of goods between those African countries are high, on average 12%. That means sometimes you have a situation where, for example, in South Africa, it can be actually more, it can be cheaper to import from Argentina than from an African country next door. And then thirdly, you've got a situation where the population of Africa is going to double in the next 30 years. So it's going to go from roughly 1.2 billion people to over 2 billion people. And at the same time, the numbers of people going to the cities is increasing. So this food security question has always been acute. It's even more acute now. And there is literally no way of dealing with this unless there's agricultural transformation in Africa. And that is to do with logistics and infrastructure and food production and scale. But technology has a role to play in each and every one of the issues that affect African agriculture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blair. We will be talking with you later again. Thank you very much. Now, here in the studio, the Minister Izhar Shai, or we'll talk about something else now. Minister of Science, that is the right thing. In Israel, Izhar Shai, Israel is considered an innovation nation. As a minister who only recently entered your position, what are your plans to expose the world to Israeli technology?
Thank you, Danny, and thank you for having me here, Rena and Danny. It's a great honor to be here. Israel is considered as one of the leading hubs of innovation around the world. We are building innovation in various areas of technology and science. And as we are building those areas, we are also always looking forward into what happens next. What are the trends that build the next exciting companies, the next exciting areas for exploration of scientists, technologists, people who build companies, people who build the research within universities. As we look into what happens in the near future, we are looking into the potential of artificial intelligence as one of the most significant worldwide trends, which has a practical implication in almost every aspect of our day-to-day lives. As this applies to our discussion here, AI, artificial intelligence, is very applicable towards the areas of agriculture, of precision agriculture, which is an up-and-coming market trend by itself, and is a basis for cooperation between Israel and, I hope, many nations in Africa, and by the way, around the world as well.
So can you say a word about Israel's startup companies and food security in Africa?
So, as a minister, I'm not allowed to mention names, so I will talk to the market names. Segment. We do see Africa rising over the last decade as a potential market for Israeli companies. Traditionally, Israeli companies, even in the area of agriculture, were focused more on South America, North America, and some areas in the East. Now Africa has become a good trade partner for Israeli companies, for innovation companies that deal with the various aspects of food security. And again, you see companies developing technologies in the area of water technologies. You see companies developing in the areas of food improvements, yield, again, using AI for precision agriculture in order to improve the quality of crops, the quality of agricultural product around many sectors of that market. And we believe that this will also be the basis for much more to come, as the world is now realizing the importance of food technologies, of food security, and agriculture as a whole. I grew up in the Israeli high tech in the 90s. You would not talk about agriculture in the sense of innovation then. Nevertheless, we are 30 years later, which speaks to my age. And now we are talking agriculture as innovation, as an important aspect of the Israeli tech nation, startup nation, and innovation overall.
And as Mr. Blair said, the people of Africa will be double themselves in 30 years. So a few words from Mr. Jonathan Bialosuka Wata. He is the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock in Congo, who was kind enough to answer a few questions.
What is the biggest challenge that you're confronted with in the fishing sector in the Democratic Republic of Congo? Thank you for the question and for the opportunity to speak on issues of fishing in my country. First of all, let me say that the Congo is a country that has plenty of potential in this domain, with its diverse rivers, lakes, and its ecology. Congo today has all the foundations to develop fishing capable of feeding the Congolese and limiting imports. The challenges we have are in funding. We haven't had many investors in this country in the areas of fishing and breeding to transform these natural resources that God gave us, to transform them to wealth that the Congolese can benefit from. With everything we have that has not yet been exploited, that is really in its initial stages, it necessitates a lot of funding. And for that, we need investors to boost this sector. and even to diversify the economy of our country, which is today based on the export of minerals. We could start exporting agricultural products stemming from our natural resources. So more than anything, we have a funding challenge. Partners in technology and funding who want to come invest in this country are welcome. That is what we can ask at this stage of our Congolese compatriots and backers, to take an interest in this vital sector, especially now that we will cross or are now crossing the period after COVID-19. There is a food crisis on the horizon, and every country must organize itself in the face of this crisis. A food crisis can only be faced through investment in sectors of production, notably fishing. How could Israeli technology be useful in your sector? To our friends in Israel, we say you are welcome, and we are ready to welcome them. They have nothing to worry about. The President of the Republic, who made the fishing sector a priority, is in the midst of orienting us, of encouraging us to look for investors in this sector. He himself, by the way, on all his visits, he repeats, there is a tendency to see the Congolese in another way. But upon arriving in the land, you will understand there's a climate for business that is healthier and favorable for investment.
Thank you, Mr. Wata, and thank you again, Norit, for the translation. I would like to invite you to watch a presentation by BioFishency, which develops aquaculture solutions. Welcome and hello to BioFishency CEO, Eli Shibi. Eli, please tell us what is special about your solutions.
Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to be here and quite excited to share with you a smart, simple way to provide prosperity and healthy food through sustainable aquaculture. My name is Eli Shibi, and I'm the CEO of BioFishency, an exciting company in an exciting market, and needless to say, in exciting times. BioFishency develops and provides advanced systems for sustainable land-based aquaculture. We believe in developing simple systems to provide better water for better fish. The reason why all of us are here today is to find ways to provide affordable, fresh, and healthy food. While fish is an excellent source of protein, it is also a risky product. Buying it at source guarantees food security. When one thinks of providing large amount of fish, let's say 1,500 tons a year, in an organized and controlled manner, there are mainly two ways to do it. The first one is to establish a highly industrialized factory that requires high investment and depends on very stable supply of electricity and liquid oxygen. It also needs a complex storage and transportation systems. This is an excellent option, but not necessarily fits the rural areas of Africa. The other option, which we present here, is to build a distributed fish farm, much simpler to build and maintain. It provides the same capacity with almost no risk. More importantly, it prompts rural development and food security through sustainable aquaculture. The idea is very simple: a central farm surrounded by anything between 50 to 100 satellite farms. The central farm is the heart and the engine of the entire system. It provides everything the satellite farms needs: fish food, fingerlings, technical support, training, veterinary support, and guidance. The central farm is a great opportunity for private entrepreneur, preferably with an existing fish farm. This could also be a solution to existing farms that are owned by the state and are not very successful. Such a farm can make a twist by becoming a central farm and support satellite farms around it. In terms of location, the central farm should be within a few hours' drive from each satellite farm. What BioFishency provides here? We provide a complete kit, including everything from water tanks to filters, pipes, electricity panel, greenhouse, aerators, and accessories, even a fish farm management application. The system is very simple to install. It only takes a few days and it is operational immediately after installation. And most important, remember I told you when we believe in simplicity? The satellite farm is very simple to operate. We provide a complete package of training and guidance to make it even more accessible. Let's talk about the satellite farm. Think of a small unit located in a backyard and owned by a family or a few families in a village or a neighborhood. They only sell to their close neighbors, so there's no need to do any marketing, and there's also no need to store the fish. Someone wants a few fishes, he knocks at their door, they take the fish out of the tank and sell it fresh, healthy, and very close to the consumers. It can literally be installed almost anywhere. All we need is a flat plot of 28 by 12 meters, electricity connection, and about 40 cubic meters of fresh water per day. Each such small farm can produce 15 metric tons of fish a year. We talk about 15,000 kilos, approximately 30,000 of healthy, large fish. We designed the system to provide or to produce the first income after only 3 months. So every quarter, 1/4 of the annual production is ready to be sold and should be sold throughout the entire quarter. Every satellite farm can produce a very nice net income of $5,000 to $10,000 and sometimes even more. When I started my presentation, I told you it has other added values. This is the time to discuss them. The first one is rural development. This model helps create more productive families with a very nice income that can then grow and become wealthier and healthier. We believe that the perfect candidates are young families with high motivation to learn something new. Army veterans, local leaders, and young entrepreneurs are also perfect candidates to own and run a satellite farm. The farm produces steady income year-round. There's no need for previous experience. We will teach them how to grow healthy fish. From the state's point of view, once this project is completed, there will be many experienced fish farmers in the region that will surely increase their business and spread their knowledge. You must be asking, how much does it cost? Well, as you can see, not much. A complete farm costs about $69,000. As much as this is a small investment, I believe that this expense should be done by the government or NGOs. Fish is a sensitive animal. It needs to be stored and transported in cold environment. The best way to ensure food security when it comes to fish is to sell it very fresh, out of the water tank and straight to the kitchen. This is what we offer here. We live in a world of not enough clean water. Wasted water from the fish tanks are perfect for agriculture and are reused, so practically no water is wasted. What do we need from you? First, help us find the central farm owner-operator in your region. Help us find candidates to own and manage satellite farms. Help us fund the satellite farms and let us do the rest. There are many details. I will be more than happy to be in touch with everyone here and help promote this great model. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eli Shubi. That's it from IMPROVATE Food Security in Africa. We have heard today about the needs of Kenya and Ghana, Ethiopia, Congo, and Tanzania in the field of food security. We received an overview of the continent from Honorable Tony Blair with us here in Israel, Ministers of Agriculture and Science and Technologies. We were exposed to leading Israeli agri-tech companies that can help the problems of food security. IMPROVATE's next conference will be on the topic of upgrading agriculture through smart agricultural technologies in Eastern Europe, and will take place in October 29th, 2020, chaired by the former Bulgarian President Rosen Plevneliev and agriculture ministers from Eastern Europe. Thank you all. Let's hope for better days for everybody, health for everybody. Thank you.